This is me playing the bass. This is me still playing. This is the way to start 2021.
It's
playing the air bass.
Let us all play the air bass.
There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us. And just like everything else today, everywhere in the United States, it's a clusterfuck. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 398 for January 6, 2021. My name is Russell Frost. I have the pleasure of being your host with these fine and wonderful people who have not stormed any government buildings today.
But the night is still young.
But the night.
Better than at the end of the show.
Oh, Georgia, that's what we're right. We're going to do the show and then go storm government buildings.
Oh, no, I meant my audio crash.
Oh, no. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So, hey, let's introduce this panel, get this show on the road because, yeah, it's been a long day already. My co-host and good friend, she is a voice actor, director, and writer, Georgia McKenzie.
Hey, people, please. It's just 1/6/21. Let's all wait, and then we'll see if we can ship back 21 to the maker and just get a new version. Don't worry about it. Give it a week.
Can we get like a redo on the start? You know, we're only 6 days in.
Yeah, we can always. It's a Hudson Bay start. We went out. We forgot our sanity. We're going back.
Oh, I've never heard that. Hudson Bay start?
I like it.
I have to read more. Well, speaking of Hudson Bay, our friend in the Great White North, I like to think of him as Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to call this 2020 going into extra innings. Mr. Patrick Connor coined that. I stole it from him, but I thought it was an excellent way to describe what's been going on.
I saw somewhere on Twitter, I don't remember whose account, my apology, whoever you were that thought this up, but somebody had posted, welcome November 66th, 2020. And for some reason that resonated with me. Speaking of resonating, our friend who's way too close to the insurrection, Mr. Kacey Green.
Oh, yes. I was recording a deep dive software video, and on our way back, we were headed north to our house, and so were 3 state troopers, 2 marked, 1 unmarked. I was doing 75. They passed me like I was standing fucking still. They're doing at least 100. Lights on, sirens, and they were headed north.
To the only cops going to actually do anything.
Well, I mean, the state troopers, you know, they held a special place in Virginia.
Ah. Well, and last and certainly not least, he is the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids in Boulder, Colorado, Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey, everybody. I am drinking a beer tonight, like usual, and it is an American lager in honor of our democracy.
Quite literally American lager.
That looks like it'd be a bottle that just says beer on the side.
Yeah.
I appreciate that sort of minimalist approach.
No frills.
Well, to get us started tonight, I'm going to kick it off with a little Twitter piece that I saw, and then some interesting follow-ups. Turns out this week that how much back? Sleeping Giants is an organization, a political activist group that tracks companies that donate to extremist sites. One of those extremist sites is Breitbart.com. It's a popular right-wing extremist, white nationalist site. They're awful, horrible people, and you can get that same crappy news without quite as much racism in other places. So they have been harping on advertisers who send millions of dollars to Breitbart.com to support that. And one of those advertisers is a company that we've talked about on this show a few times, a company called Uber, pretty much synonymous with evil, which also has 2 syllables. I think right there. I think I'm an attorney. I've made my case. Turns out that Uber spent about $150 million. Did I say $150 million? And about 100 million of it just disappeared. Breitbart couldn't really justify it. There was no sort of any kind of statistics or anything. And it just went somewhere. And this is how two things. This is how dishonest corporations launder money for political purposes. And it's how stupid companies who support crappy racist websites get ripped off, deservedly so. Now, did one or both of those things happen? I don't know. I don't have that evidence. But suffice to say, there's a lot of problems with online advertising. This goes back to the beginning of online. Back in the old days of page impressions and all of that. So suffice to say, that was a big deal. And Uber basically blew $100 million. No big deal. They've got all that investor money. That's all I got on that.
Well, okay, just what makes it wild is that he literally, I forgot the guy's last name, but they literally did a test to run down exactly how much they would lose if, okay, let's say we dropped this and they didn't see any drop in their subscribers or users, and then they tried again and was like, all right, that was 10% of the total $150 million. So let's cut a few more. And they wound up dropping their ads to the point where they were now spending 1/10, the actual 1/10. So they cut from 150 million of an ad budget to now 30 million, realizing that all their online advertising was doing nothing, and they were actively being gamed. They were actively being gamed by a login app on a phone that would basically direct to Uber and then come right back out and pretend that they had people clicking on their ads and actually using their services to justify the cost. So yeah, scam indeed. But I would like to know, is there any restitution?
I think the other interesting thing is if you like podcasts, let me recommend On the Media. Do listen to On the Media. It's an incredibly great show. They were talking about Google advertising and how Google's automated advertising things where you can go in and drop $5 million and Google just spends it for you, right? In good ways. Well, good ways seems to be pretty subjective because as it turns out, it goes to a lot of horrible places. And Google collects the money and the ads run and maybe they're effective, maybe they're not, maybe they're targeted, maybe they're not. But it's not like the old days where you call the newspaper and you say, I want to run this ad. It's $60 and it's going to run for 2 days. And this, you know what I mean? Like this is all digital. So Google certainly allegedly has their hands dirty too.
Well, when you control the entire thing from collecting the money to saying you're posting it to certain sites or certain users, certain times, certain time frames, they control the entire board. They can do whatever they want, and really, you got no clue because you're on the outside looking in, and you got no clue where those went.
There's no receipts, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the thing.
Well,
So-
there's a receipt, but I mean, there's no way to audit it.
Well, yeah, but ain't nobody
You get
giving
the
them.
invoice receipt. It's just that you don't go,
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
that
get
one.
anything as to where it went or how it went.
Well, and again, this goes back to some of the comments from Sleeping Giants. Were saying that, you know, that people were complaining about it. They dropped Uber and Uber said, okay, we're done. We're not advertising anymore in Breitbart. Well, turns out their ads are still showing up there because Google's feeding them ads because of these automated ad buys. So I mean, again, you know what? Listen to the last episode of On the Media. It's a brilliant episode, just sort of a compendium of what happened last year. But there's a bit in there about kind of our digital future. And it's a wonderful, wonderful interview. And you'll get a little bit more perspective on kind of how sort of out of control this stuff is. Let's move on to something better and more fun. How's that? Because God knows, with crazy people storming the Capitol. Let's go to Kacey, who's going to talk about our friends in Japan.
So our friends in Japan have decided that they are also going to go fossil free. Yay. And I had the full article here in the Wall Street Journal, but I'm not a member, so I don't have it anymore. But I found a copy of it from the street. And let's see, how do they phrase it? So the CEO of Toyota, Akito Toyota, he says that if Japan banned gasoline-powered cars and moved to electric vehicles too hastily, the current business model of the car industry is going to collapse. So fucking what? Adapt or die. And so Japan has decided that against his warning, they're going to go all electric anyway.
You know what he's not really saying? He says the car economy will collapse. He's saying that he's not going to get his bonus working at Toyota. That's what he's really saying. It's got nothing to do with the car economy collapsing.
Right. He's saying we've invested all that time and money on hydrogen, didn't spend any on electric, and that's what we got.
Whose fault is that?
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But really all it is just no fossils. You can have a hybrid, you can have a plug-in, you can have a plug-in hybrid, and you can have hydrogen, but good luck finding enough customers for that hydrogen stuff. Even over there.
It's interesting that we're seeing this sort of the dominoes start to kind of fall here. California, as usual, but not always, as usual, was one of the leaders in saying 2035, no mas. And we're seeing other states and other countries kind of going, okay, so someone's drawn a line, we can support that line. And that's super good. That is a great thing. And I think Paul was, when we first talked about this story, said, well, you know, these things can kind of change and be adjusted. Absolutely they can, but at least we're talking about, and we've set an endpoint. And even if that goes to 2040 or whatever, at least that's what we're working towards now.
Well, and they can always take an approach like Norway did and tax the hell out of gas cars and incentivize electric cars and let the consumer decide what makes sense for them.
Yep.
And if you want to spend a shit ton of money on a gas car, go for it.
Absolutely. Was California third or fourth in the world? They were up there at the beginning on these 2030, 2035, 2040 bans.
I think they're one of the first.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Kacey.
There was
I thought they were one of the first to announce it, but
a lot of people don't remember that New York also followed with that too. So the state of New York went with the same California, as so did the province of Quebec here in Canada.
There we go.
And the GNP of California is more than most countries on the planet. So
right,
they do have some pull.
It is the 7th biggest economy on the planet.
Right, there you go.
So, well, I mean, that's good news, right?
Absolutely.
I think so. At this point, I do want to remind those of you who maybe you're watching us for the first time, maybe not. Hopefully we haven't scared you off, but we do have a YouTube channel. Maybe you found us through that. It's at youtube.com/what drives us. We encourage, no, I'm begging you, please go there. Please hit the subscribe button. Click the little bell for some notifications. Those subscriber numbers help us enormously. They cost you nothing. We don't get any of your information. We don't want it. That's fine. But that helps support the show immensely. So please go to youtube.com/what drives us. Hit that subscribe button and maybe even share a link with your friends and ask them to check us out and subscribe too. Let's go to Mr. Mark Coughlin for his favorite feature, all of ours favorite feature, This Week in Tesla.
This week in Tesla has actually quite a number of developments. We won't be able to hit them all, but I wanted to touch upon the Made in China Model Y. Shanghai, of course, has built another new factory beside the original one that's been building the Model 3. They're now going to build the Model Y. Its release is imminent. Tesla's Chinese website just a few days ago publicized that yes, the Model Y would start to be produced shortly and that orders were open. And the shocking thing was that they dropped the price of the Model Y in China down to a level that's even slightly below the US model. And on top of it, they added a number of features. So the HEPA filter, the biodefense mode that they have in the Model X is now included in the Model Y. And a heated steering wheel is now included in the Model Y. And the new console is included in the Model Y. So those three things have changed, and some, you know, the HEPA filter certainly is a big deal. The heated steering wheel is a big deal if it was coming to Canada, because I'd love to have a heated steering wheel here. But those are certainly nice add-ons to the vehicle, and of course the price drop was a bit of a surprise. The Tesla website apparently hit 100,000 orders that hour, and it actually put the website down for a while because of volume. There were pictures of crowds all over the different locations in China where you could buy it at stores, lineups out the door. Apparently, the Chinese were waiting for the Model Y because there was unprecedented demand for the vehicle, and a lot of people went out to get it after this announcement happened. I believe it was Thursday or Friday of last week. So big changes, and looks like the Model Y is quite a hit in China before it even begins. So that was kind of interesting.
And is the factory market going to make just for the Chinese market, or are they going to export?
It's speculated, Paul, that this factory will produce for China and Europe, just as they're currently doing with the Model 3. There's a number of 3s that have been shipped. 7,000 actually last quarter were shipped to Europe. So with the overproduction or whatever they can do, they're certainly going to supply the European market, it seems, as well. Most likely the Model Y will follow.
Well, allegedly there's a higher margin on made in China products.
Well, yeah, because they have 9-year-olds building them for $1 a day or whatever. it is.
Right. So, I mean, the speculation has always been that China's going to replace Fremont
Right.
as far as an exporter goes, at least.
Export, export
Yeah.
probably.
And of course, it makes sense that if the margins are higher, it's certainly a shorter distance too. So you've got that as transportation costs are lower and speed is up for delivery.
They just,
So
do they like autopilot them on the Silk Road to Europe?
Well, once they get that road fixed, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, plus, you've also got the factory in Europe coming out online as well.
Yeah, and of course at that point, they can if they have extended demand for any vehicle, they can combine factories and move shipments from any of them to hit an over demanded area. So that's a plus too.
Globalism.
I guess one question will be the overall build quality.
It's better
because with other manufacturers, for example, Toyota makes the Camry in Japan and they make the Camry in North America, and I guarantee you from the Japanese one's always better. So
we've had people who've tried both the Chinese and American Model 3s and found every time the Model 3 in China is better than the American one.
Why is that, I wonder?
It's a new factory, and they don't have those same employees that they used to have over at NUMMI. Like literally, some of the people used to work for NUMMI.
Wait. They don't. They're not hiring old Chevy employees at NUMMI.
Yes.
I want their union breaks. I don't know. I guess I'll believe it when I see it, but in general, Chinese manufactured goods are not good, but there are some exceptions.
You get what you pay for. You have to pay extra to get the higher quality. That's why the Chinese phone and the Chinese knockoff of the iPhone are not as good as the only iPhone they sell, which is all made in China.
Right.
They pay extra for that quality and QA and everything.
Another quick story is about the UK. In the month of December, the Tesla Model 3 outsold all cars in the United Kingdom. So gas or electric, it doesn't matter. In December, more Model 3s were sold over any other unit in the UK. So another success there. And finally, Tesla updated their mapping system showing superchargers this past week, where they do this once a year, where they refresh the map and show you not only what is built, but what is coming. And the map is significant. There is a great amount of new superchargers coming to the United States, Canada, Europe, and of course, China is leading the list. Their expansion is off the charts. So obviously the demand for cars is also a demand for supercharging, and that country is now filling out their supercharger network as well, because they're also producing superchargers in the country. So over here in North America, it's done at the Buffalo plant. And in China, they have their own supercharger plant now that builds the supercharger units. So interesting to see that Tesla is still rolling out this infrastructure, and they continue to put new superchargers in place, and their plan looks ambitious for the next year as well.
Yeah.
How many are they going to have in Saskatchewan next year?
Actually, they've got 4 or 5 of them in Saskatchewan already, and a few more scheduled. So it's, you know, there's never enough, Paul, as you know, but there certainly is starting to roll out in an area as sparse as Saskatchewan. It's great to see.
They're opening up all over around me. I'll tell you what, Mark, I used to think that that having a heated steering wheel was a frivolous luxury, and then my Model S had one, and it's really nice. You don't need gloves inside the car.
Yep, it's definitely a nice to have. Once you've had it, it's tough to go back without it.
Yeah.
My last bike had heated hand grips, and I want to tell
Ooh.
you,
Nice.
oh man,
It's nice.
yeah. I mean, happy old man on a motorcycle. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll own that. I'll totally own it. But heated hand grips are the bomb. Let's see our next story. I just, you know, okay.
The pop filter.
Our next story, I'm going to smack my microphone repeatedly. General Electric, not one of my favorite companies, but nonetheless, they do some fun stuff once in a while, announced this week that they're coming out with a new turbine, a new electric producing wind turbine. This turbine produces as much as 13 megawatts. One turbine, 13 megawatts. That's enough to power 12,000 homes. We're talking about something that has the equivalent power of 4 747s. Now, I don't really know what that means, but it sounds impressive.
The problem is when they turn it on, the entire Earth shakes.
Well, and it spins faster. It spins faster too. That's definitely, and you get cancer, right, from windmills.
They kill
You get
birds.
windmill
So birds.
cancer.
No, you get COVID from windmills.
You get COVID, yeah, and the 5G thing. So,
And how big are these windmills?
I you know what? You would think that would be the first thing and I didn't really like. They're big. It's huge.
But like, are they like
Larger
double the
than a
size
couple
of
American
current
football
ones,
fields.
or are they?
Taller than most
The new
skyscrapers in Western Europe.
Let's see. New turbine's rotor length is larger than a couple of American football fields. So we're talking over 200 yards
Wow.
on the rotor, on the propeller.
600 feet.
It's big.
600 feet. That's like a 50, 60-story building.
Yeah.
You know, there are certainly good places to put these things. Okay, quick poll. Who thinks windmills are ugly? I saw no hands. So I've heard every time the topic comes up, wind generation, somebody comes in and goes, "Oh, they're so ugly. They freak me out. I hate it. They're a blight." And I'm like, I think they're wonderful. How are they not? They're
They
like,
look majestic.
yeah.
You know what's
I
ugly?
You'd
I
rather
think
have
they
the
look
coal
great.
Wooden
stack
telephone
blowing
poles with the wire
forward.
strung across them. Those are ugly.
Yeah. I mean, wind turbines are beautiful and sleek. They just look great. So I'm all for it. I don't know about them looking ugly.
Thank you. I think that's just fossil fuel oriented cranks. And I don't normally throw that diatribe out, but I mean, so anyway, new things, new development. Obviously, once these are deployed, if they actually deliver what GE promises, it means good things. Fewer installations to power more homes, better ways to diversify our grid, and move us away from burning things to make electricity. That's all I got on that.
That's what we gotta do.
It's amazing how far the industry has moved in such a short time. So if you go back and look at it like 10 years ago, how small they were at that point, and then just the size has scaled up so dramatically to the point now where they're 600 feet. That's incredible.
It's going to be interesting to see how they, where they're going to install it, because if you read through it, they feel that they're going to get the best wind if it's on the on water. So, are we looking at floating wind turbine farms? What are we going to do here? So, it's going to be interesting to see how this develops.
I think they said like shallow offshore locations where they can anchor into the ground.
Yeah. I mean, they do that a lot in Northern Europe. They have offshore locations for these things. Certainly in the United States, space is not a problem. Anyone who's traveled on I-10 through West Texas for several hundred miles has seen all the windmills there, and they're gorgeous up on the tops of the mesas and whatnot. We have lots of room for those, no matter how big they are. Except, of course, when they make the planet spin faster and it throws us all off into space.
Too bad.
Did you know that solar energy is heating up the planet? I'm just going to leave that one lay right as it is. Right as it is.
Russell, I think it's been heating the planet up for a little while now.
You think?
Yeah.
It has something to do with the sun too.
Billions of years.
You mean all those solar panels aren't taking too much energy from the sun, and we're burning the sun out prematurely?
Oh man, you remember that town?
Stop that. Man, if people hear that, we don't, then the coal people get rich again.
But you can't make new coal anymore because coal is dead cellulose, and we now have organisms that eat cellulose. So you'll never have new coal.
Well,
naturally.
Not in our lifetimes.
No, never. Unless somehow it gets like volcanoes erupt and it gets sealed in immediately. We have stuff that can digest cellulose now, so you can't make new coal.
There are other anaerobic environments that could bury timber.
Right, but the coal that we have now, most of it was like trees fell over, the plants fell over, nothing could digest it, then it happened. Versus now it had to be pretty much instant. And then
who knows, maybe in another 10 million years, there'll be coal all over the place. And they'll be like, what do we do with this crap? It stinks if you burn it.
Leave it.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, let's go to our next story, a happy story. Oh, shit. No, it's not.
It's not.
I'm sorry, but it's a very important story. Georgia, tell us about it.
Hey, so remember that little Prop 22 thing that we were told was really not for the benefit of Lyft and Uber and DoorDash. It was actually preserving the right to work as much as you want or as little as you want as a contract worker. And they were totally going to treat those workers who do these gig jobs like regular workers, but keep their freedom. So in response, Albertsons companies will be firing their in-house delivery drivers at California Vons, Pavilions, and Safeways, where they have their own delivery staff, and replacing those good union jobs with DoorDash. Now, the company has reassured the media that they they definitely did not do this because of Prop 22. No, no. Yeah, it was, I'm guessing maybe it was those wind
It's better for the
turbines. I don't
consumer,
know.
right?
Mere
It was the wind
coincidence.
turbines, something like that. And it was always in the plan. UFCW International Union has is basically calling for them to basically cut this out, and they are trying to find some way to negotiate and resolve the situation and put a stop to it. The Albertsons companies is saying that they are definitely keeping some of those drivers for other things, and they're going to try and place them in other stores, which basically means if you are a driver and you're earning pretty solid money for driving the truck, they're going to try and place you somewhere within the organization that might also be much less pay and benefits. And if you go, but I can't live off of that, they're going to go, but we tried.
You're now back in groceries.
Yeah. Oh, how's that for $15 an hour working for you?
Oh, you
So,
want to maintain your income? You need to do overnight stock only.
right. And I'm basically reading from 3 different articles to pull everything together because you got to get everything. But the representative from DoorDash says that, well, they've always supported local economies, and as e-commerce and delivery have become even more important for many businesses during these challenging times, we remain committed to helping brick and mortar local merchants reach consumers with the best of their neighborhood. As you take away jobs from those neighborhoods and replace them with gig economy jobs, which are not the same quality. So elections have consequences, and so do these propositions. When it comes to these things, and this is the one time when I would say, definitely listen to me on this one. Never really give a company, especially a wealthy company, even more control over workers' rights. A lot of people fought and died for those rights. You might want to hang on to them. Don't give anything to a company. Never secede ground to them, because you only earn your money from them. You don't want them in with too much control. So this is going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, what happens to union jobs, if the union is going to be able to put a stop to this at all. I don't think so. But
Can.
I don't think they can. And now the other thing that I did not submit anything on, but we're seeing more local people pull together and create their own internal network of local gig drivers that are not connected with these apps. And if it is possible, do a little research. Hey, how about checking those guys out to get your grocery pickup or your food pickup? Because I think we can all agree that tech companies and neolibertarian principles that come out of it might not be good for democracy. Just a thought.
Tony Schaefer and I have been working on something along this lines. I happen to possess a bunch of gig delivery data. And Tony and I have been looking at what the difference is pre-Prop 22 and post-Prop 22. And I'm here to tell you, guess what? There's a difference. In fact, one very popular gig delivery company that Californians stupidly supported by voting yes on Prop 22. And yes, all of you who voted yes on Prop 22, I hope you get food poisoning. Nothing, I don't want you to be hurt. I just want you to crap uncomfortably for a day or two. interestingly enough, the day that Prop 22 went into effect, base pay went down 30%. The company instituted a new tipping protocol. It used to be when you went to this ad, when you placed an order, there was some choices at the bottom: 5% tip, 10% tip, 20% tip, no tip, or custom tip. On the day that Prop 22 went into effect, the same day they cut base pay by 30%, it went to no tip, $1, $1.50, custom. Guess what happened to tips? Yeah. Hey, the week before Christmas, tips plummeted by about 70%. So thank you, generous California gig users. You Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, all you users who didn't bother to tip the week of Christmas because that button was so hard to hit. Merry Christmas to all of you. Do I seem like I have a little bit of heat behind this? I'm sorry, I do.
I would like to mention to all our listeners and viewers, if you do use any of these services, try and tip the driver with cash, because they appreciate it and it's not regulated. It's just better all around. Except
in the era of contact-free deliveries, drivers don't see customers. And customers don't want to see
leave an
drivers.
envelope with a $5 bill.
Yeah. Maybe, right? I mean, Paul's suggestion is absolutely correct and right on the mark. But again, practically speaking, once the gig company stops stealing the tips, anyway, it's a difficult thing.
Okay. It might be hard to leave the envelope outside. Please include in your instructions, please wait for me to come give you a tip.
Which you can put in the notes on most of these delivery apps, all sorts of information
and spell it out that way too, because
ring
otherwise
bell
they don't
for
want to see
cash
you
tip.
either with the COVID. But if there's a tip, they're like, I'll hang around. Yeah, thank you.
To me, I think one of the frustrating things is the hypocrisy of like, oh, essential workers and all these people are making our lives livable because we can't go out and they're bringing us. And then you vote yes on Prop 22 and then you fuck all of them over on tips. I mean, really, is your delivered Chinese food that important to you? You know, if you can't afford it, I get it. I can't afford it. I don't order that stuff because I have to go get it myself. So cheers to all of you who can afford it. But do keep in mind, there are humans that are delivering that stuff. So maybe do what you can to take care of them. If you care. If you don't care, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah. If they're essential, pay them like they're essential. I mean, seriously, guys, I'm sorry that, for some of us, we're locked down, we can't go out. But if you're not willing to take the risk, you know what? Cut something out of your budget and make sure you pay the people allowing you to stay safe at home, because they are not just risking catching a little cold or just, spending their time. They are actually risking very serious illness, and if they recover, lifelong, at least as far as we know, physical and sometimes even mental effects from COVID. So just pay them like it. It's fair.
Skip the extra order of egg rolls and tip your driver.
Tip them.
There you go. That's all I got this week. Anybody else got anything they want to? I'm fine with no one more thing. Well, let's do some shout outs and go home. We worked hard. Darn it. It's the first show of the year. We can leave a little before 60 minutes. Kacey Green, kick us off.
Got a couple videos for you on the channel over at youtube.com/Kacey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. Just finished right before this show a deep dive video into the latest Tesla software update, 2020.48.30. It's not edited yet. Oop. It's still sitting right here in the camera.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll get it taken care of. And I did a vlog video 2 years ago. I finally got that out of the remote server there, and well, the local server remote to this PC, and you can follow along on what it's like to move with a Tesla and several large U-Haul trailers and go from South Carolina to Virginia. My favorite part was the Florida man who only moved his car because he was done eating. That was oof. The spots that had opened up for him were way faster than the one that I needed for the trailer, and it was you should have heard the comments from the other people who were just enjoying the sunshine while their car was charging, and that was
Very nice. Very nice.
very very self-entitled.
Mr. Coughlin, what's new and exciting in your universe, sir?
Well, if you like Tesla news, please join us at the Tesla Life on YouTube, and you can follow us on Twitter at the Tesla Life as well, where we update all throughout the week. And if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on this video particularly, and subscribe as well. Helps us get more eyes and more exposure on YouTube, and that would be greatly appreciated. And we thank you for doing so.
Absolutely. If you don't want that crappy, hypey, if you want like the real Tesla news, follow the Tesla Life on Twitter. Come on, Mark's got the rest.
Russell does.
I do, and every once in a while I bounce something back if I don't. Yeah. Hey, I just want to know, Mark, are you consciously trolling me at times?
No, I would never do such a thing.
Okay, so you are.
Just as you would never do that to me.
Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna own that. Sure. Fair enough. Let's talk someone who's never a troll, Mr. Paul Guzik.
That we know of.
No, I have a ultimate personality on certain sites. No, I don't. But if you're in the Colorado region and you have a hybrid or electric vehicle that needs service, check us out in Boulder at boulderhc.com. And if you're looking to purchase a hybrid or electric vehicle, check out our sales website at boulderh.com.
Paul's such an amazing dealer that I flew from California to Colorado and drove my used Prius that I bought from Boulder Hybrids all the way back to California. One of the few good car buying decisions I've made in my life, and I'm here to tell you, I haven't made many. That was a good one. Last and certainly not least, Georgia McKenzie.
Hey, shout out to everybody who is holding it down and made it through to 1/6/21. We just got a little bit further to go to get out of 2020, the addendum to 2020. That's it.
The extra innings.
Like, we're in extra innings. It's the B or C. And also stay safe, you guys. Those of you in capital cities know what I'm talking about. Stay safe, stay indoors.
Stay home.
Don't go to the Capitol. Wherever you are,
Just leave it.
Stay home. Let these idiots work out whatever they're going to work out.
Let them catch Auntie Corona by themselves.
Yes. Thank you, Georgia. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Buy his music everywhere but CD Baby. And do buy his music, for God's sakes. Take care of the man. I want to thank Michael Mannering for that. As always, I want to thank Mark Coughlin, Paul Guzik, Georgia McKenzie, and Kacey Green for being an incredible panel. We went through some good news stories, did it succinct in less than 60 minutes. The first show of 2021. Yay. We didn't have to storm the Capitol to get it done either. Isn't that nice? I can't, you know what? Even that joke just goes, because it ain't that funny, really.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's humiliating. Yeah. So do please stay safe and healthy. We need every one of you here. And we will be back next week. Until then, download us to find out what drives us. Uh-oh. Oh, it's like an echo.
Bye, guys.
See you next week, everybody. Thank you. And fade.